Let's see. Ooh, yay, I think we're live and we're... Oh, I forgot to flip it.
Oh,
Can I flip it now? Hello, hello. If you are on the replay, say hello. And all that cool stuff. I'm gonna see if I can flip us, which will confuse our brains. But maybe not yours. Where did you go?
I'm just situating myself.
Give
me minutes.
Situating.
God.
Okay.
Wait, is this from the phone?
It's from the phone. Yeah. We are live. Are we both in the screen?
Mm-hmm.
We both are in the screen. So. It's magical convo time. If you don't know, this person here is Rin, and she is my daughter, and she was my co-teacher on the sigil alchemy class that we did. Was that last month? It was now because it's a new
It was last
month.
year.
It was last year, and it was super fun. I feel like we need to be closer together. Super fun to do. And she and I, we have this thing that we do. We have all these crazy conversations about magic and metaphysical topics. And then once they're over, we're like, we should have live streamed that. We should have talked about that somewhere, recorded it, what?
Nothing.
And then we never do. So we decide to live stream one. No, let's see, what can I say? There's not really any guarantee of where this conversation is going to go, but we'd love if you have questions or topics that you would like we're happy to talk. Before we get too deeply in, since we haven't totally situated, I am going to say that I have 4 of these left from the first printing, the Moon and Magic Planner. If you're not aware of them, they are moon-based planners following the 13 moons, and I won't sit and talk about that, but I will put a comment in that shows you where you can go look at them, because it's a really great deal because you get free shipping anywhere in the world. In the US, I am sending them priority mail, so you get them as soon as you can, and for international, it's free. Free. So, what say ye about what? Magic.
Oh, I was like,
For alchemy. We are brewing up, or she is brewing up, some alchemy experiments. Are they secret? Huh?
no, I have everything except for the one thing I really, really need.
What's that?
Which is the herb.
Oh, the herb.
I looked and I'm like, oh, the herb will get here on the 7th to the 14th of January.
And which herb are you working with first?
It's shave grass or horsetail.
And what are you going to do with it?
It's in association with the planet Saturn, and we're gonna do all sorts of things to it.
Are we going through the 7 steps?
Yeah.
The 7 steps. So, you gonna... What? I should know the 7 steps, but we're gonna...
Let's see,
dissolve
how long have you been planning on doing stuff like that?
Making tinctures forever. I have a bunch of herbs that I need to make tinctures with.
It's been years. These big, huge bags of herbs have been sitting in drawers.
Shh, don't tell on me. Don't tell on me.
Years.
But you know what? You know what? I can just say one thing magically is that you, like, those things are great, but if you are like me and you have 4 kids and 2 jobs and all this whatnot, you can do so much stuff without making tinctures and herbs and all that stuff. I keep scooting away from you, and then I feel like we're but yeah, you can do all of the meditation, mantras, journaling, and things that don't require cooking up all kinds of goodies in your kitchen. But I do think there is like a special energy around.
Or outside
cooking.
of your kitchen.
Outside of your kitchen. Outside of your kitchen. Okay, these are not to be cooked in the house things.
Probably not. You don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. So, I was thinking about that movie that we watched last night, but since a lot of people haven't watched it, I don't know if that's really good to bring up. I just thought it was interesting.
Just don't spoil it.
I just thought, well, yeah, I will spoil it. I just thought that the manifesting aspects of it, good and bad, even though that wasn't what they were doing, but it was just...
There were obvious, a lot of the stuff in there was very...
What was the name? I should share the link for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? It's on Netflix. What's the name of the guy? It's called...
Struggle. It's like the life and lost art, I think, of Shukowski.
So, spoiler alert, this guy's like the most amazing sculptor.
Yeah.
And yet he let finances keep him from sculpting for 40 years. Although I think
40 years.
40 years. Although I think a lot of it was, do you think that was like more of a mental headspace? I mean, obviously it had to be because he could have manifested doing it, but I think maybe he had some guilt over the war and stuff. He was Polish, and so he came to the U.S. and then went back to Poland and back and forth, and then during World War II he escaped when all of his art was destroyed and came back to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had some guilt around a lot of stuff with that, but if I can find it here, I'll post the link. But it's just really interesting to me because it's a good, I don't know, it's like you're manifesting to get, whether or not you realize it, you're doing magic, whether or not you realize it. I mean, because so many aspects of that movie, so many things that they called into being or did not call into being was
what
like,
really
direct.
I thought when he was talking about before he made the sculptures, he said that he imagined every detail. Like he imagined exactly how he was going to do it. So to me, that's saying that and then he said when he was doing the sculpture, he was so fast because he never hesitated. So to me, I'm thinking he goes into the astral realm without, calling it an astral realm, creates this sculpture. So then once it already exists in the astral realm, it's so much easier to put it into the physical realm.
That makes
So
total
he just,
sense.
without hesitating, pulls it out,
That's
into the physical.
Yeah, and it's really cool because this guy was like, I mean, I won't say he's like everyone, but in a way he is, because he's like, has some areas where he just like brings it and other areas where he did not bring it. And it's like, it all comes down to beliefs, because if you can see and imagine so clearly to make art that beautiful and that amazing so quickly, then, surely you could have brought into being benefactors and all these other, money.
He didn't want benefactors.
He didn't want benefactors, but surely somehow you could make, money, or get the required funds to do your art. So I thought that was kind of just mind-boggling. And like, he made these books too, his own books on history, and there's like 42 volumes of them. 52. And they were really interesting from what the little bits that they show you, but you're like, what is that compared to like some of his sculptures? Because they were just really amazing. So he spent his time doing this, but he was definitely a person who was like not going to fit into the norm and was going to do something different and unique with his life. And so I guess it's easy to stand on the outside and judge that he didn't maybe do as much with it as he could have, but I don't know, maybe it was just the perfect life experience for him. I guess we all have the perfect life experience, or do we? What do you think? No, that's a paradox too.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think on that?
Whether or not your life experience is perfect or not?
Yeah, because I try to come up with that belief. I'm still working on this one, that everything is happening for me and everything is happening perfectly.
I think that things, if you're not going the way you're supposed to, it will try to push you towards that.
Okay.
But it can't make you.
I agree. Agreed.
So if you're not going with that flow of where it's pushing you, which should be pretty apparent, then I would say no.
I agree. And that's kind of like whenever your life, well, a lot of times our life either falls to crap because we're not doing what we're called to do, or it just becomes boring and mundane and you're unfulfilled.
Yeah, I feel like it becomes boring and mundane. Sometimes when it falls to crap, it's because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you need to...
So you need to like reshift
it's
things.
It's like the shaman sickness.
The shaman sickness, yeah. Or
that feels like
that
your
one
life is falling
quote
to crap,
that they
right?
give to Marilyn Monroe, but I don't know that if she said it or not. Like sometimes when your life feels like it's falling apart or something, that the pieces are just going back together in the right place,
exactly.
reassembling. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I don't know, because I get that, and I think sometimes I myself, and I know other people who know that you didn't do like the highest and the best that you could in something in your life, and then that like haunts you a little bit. But I've used, and I try to remind myself to use, Catherine Ponder. She's a Unity minister who wrote books, and I can't remember which one of her books. All of her books are good, especially if you're into law of attraction at all, or affirmations or journaling, because she gives you so many positive affirmations. I know you probably haven't read any of her books, because I used to have a ton of them, and then I gave them all away, and now I want them back because the affirmations were so good. But she talks about a thing called the law of restoration, which is like you can invoke and say, okay, like, I screwed up. I did not take the highest good, and I did not accept and receive the blessings that were meant for me. And so now I'm asking and I'm believing that they're going to be restored to me in the perfect way for the current time. Because like, you can't go back and win a prize that you're supposed to win, or, whatever, something in the past exactly, but you could still get the essence, the energy and the essence of it. I don't know. What do you think? You're making a face like you're like, that's a crock.
I haven't read any of her books, so I can't really. I mean, I know you're summarizing heavily right now, so I can't.
Yeah.
Judge based on that.
You can't judge based on that. I think it's just basically saying that you can, even if there's no like your life is screwed up beyond recognition.
Have you read? I know you know that book on the Icelandic staves you bought. Mm-hmm. Have you read any of those, like in depth?
Yeah. Several of them. They're very odd.
That's some.
They're old though, right? Because that was the translations of really old staves, or is that guy that made just? I feel like he said he like channeled them or got them out of old books.
Well, they're fucking weird. Oh my lord.
They are. That they are.
Some of them are like some of them, it's very interesting. I mean, I suppose it makes sense in some ways. But like a lot of them call for blood from a specific area of the body. Like your septum.
Yeah.
Or this one.
And okay, for those of us who don't know, did you look up what a septum is?
It's
okay,
like,
that's right.
It's like something that separates.
Okay,
like
so yeah, you know septum. Okay.
That's a septum. There's other things that are septums. I can't in the body. I can't. Oh, there's a septum in your heart.
Oh, but
probably don't want to get blood from there.
No.
And then there's one that calls for blood from your left nipple. And I'm like, I was reading these to Caden, and Caden's looking at me like,
I should share.
I'm like, I swear, not all the stuff we do is like.
Yeah, if somebody just like wants to see, like, I think I have.
But a very interesting book. The drawings are beautiful. Beautiful drawings.
The staves themselves, they're kind of like.
The instructions for some of them are a bit strange.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that,
There's
share.
one that calls, it's like, I think it says to like fly like a witch or something to fly like a witch. And I was like, ooh, fly like a witch. And I was reading it, and it's very involved. Very involved. You have to get, you need like all these pieces off a horse. Then you need to dig up a dead guy, take a bunch of pieces off of him, put it all together, and then you need to put it on a live horse. It's very involved.
Yeah, I think that the thought that I had with a lot of the stuff
Very
in that
involved.
book was like, it's like not really believable and practical. Most of the staves.
Although I feel like if I did all that stuff, I deserve to be able to fly through the night. On
Yeah,
my horse,
but
like Santa
if you
Claus.
did all that and then you couldn't, how would you
Oh my
feel
god,
about
that's how
that?
Santa Claus flies. He did all that for each and every one of his reindeer. Santa Claus dug up a bunch of dead dudes and killed a bunch of horses to get his reindeer to fly.
Sigil books.
But like, I swear, if you do all that stuff, you totally deserve to, because it seems like quite the investment of time and energy.
Quite the investment of time and energy. The only thing that I've ever done really that involves blood from any body part was just putting a little bit of blood in my red ink when I was writing out vows to myself. And in those, the reason I did that was because I felt like that would add my own vibration to the ink and make it more.
I don't know. I can't even remember where I read this all, but I don't know. The whole magical uses of blood is extremely interesting.
It's interesting, but it's also like, I think to some people it's very off-putting and scary, and obviously not something that you have to do to get magic, but obviously, I guess, I mean, the reason it's used in so many places is
I don't even know where. I think I listened to it maybe, where they were talking about this thing where these like magicians back in the day, they were doing like this demonstration in a town square like a really long time ago, and it was in relation to the people talking about the power, like the alchemical power of blood or something. And they were talking about how these guys, like this guy, they would go under a sheet, and then one guy would cut himself like under, I think like under the arm or in the armpit or something, and he would put the blood on. He had this seed, like a seed for a mango tree, in a pot, and he would put the blood on the seed, and then every time he would do it, it would grow a little bit more. It would grow and grow and grow, and then he would show it, and he would go back, and he would put more blood on it, and by the end of it, they said he had like a 4 or 5 foot mango tree.
Interesting. I remember that story from somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know where.
I don't remember where
anymore.
either. That's interesting. I just, that makes me think about the sigil alchemy class that we did, because that's one thing that we really didn't talk about in the class was like, I mean, we talked about doing different coloring aids,
but didn't mention putting blood or personal effects, even if you just want to, like, if you're making an ink and you put like a lock of your hair or
something. Yeah, we should add an addendum to the class.
Yeah.
And by the way, the class is super cool, and it was all recorded, and you get free sigil activation things, but now that it's passed, the only way.
And we're gonna, if you live in the area.
Yeah, if you live in the surrounding area.
Greenville, Spartanburg, I don't know. I'm okay.
Anywhere around there, check out the Metaphysical Moms meetup, and we're gonna do a live class there.
We're gonna
we
do
may take it on the road. Yes, to teach you all about sigils, which are, what's a sigil? You tell them what a sigil is, and then while she's doing that, I'm gonna post a link to the Daily Alchemy Premium Members Lab, where you can actually, like, if you join as a member, there's a holiday sale going on now, super cheap as ever, and you get access to that class right away, and
there's my hair falling out all over the place.
A ton of other stuff too, and we may have to add an addendum.
Pulling it out.
What did I do? I put. Oh, what am I doing? Okay, go ahead. Tell them what a sigil is.
Oh, sigils.
For
Yes.
those who are not sigilly.
Sigils are, in simple terms, it's like a magical symbol used for various purposes and given either as either to represent an entity that you want to work with, or to represent a certain
Goal.
manifestation that you
Yeah,
want.
a goal or an affirmation, something that you're wanting to bring into your life. And so you're using the sigil, which is like a magical symbol, to trick your brain and get it into your subconscious without your conscious mind constantly resisting it, as the subconscious mind is wanting
So
to
yes,
do.
if you come to the Metaphysical Moms thing, we will be making sigils
Yeah.
with various papers and inks and whatnot.
Poisonings,
Poison inks.
possibly, and non-poison. As the
Poison
case may,
inks.
as the case may be, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, we
And
have.
whichever is aligned for what your intention
we should get
is.
some more regular inks. We have.
Well, we should make some.
Yeah, I tried to get those pokeberries for the ink, but they were too far gone.
Mm.
They were dry. We have henbane ink from the bestest store,
That's just sort
Rosarium Blends,
of Rosarium blends. What else?
and I have that other ink from them, but it's more. I don't think anybody's gonna want to be using it.
Yeah. So sigils, magic. It's harder to do this when you're on live stream. It feels like it's so much easier to just like have a conversation about magic.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's easy for you.
Mm-hmm. I'm kidding. So yeah, we're getting into the laboratory alchemy in the new year, I would say.
That's
what
our-
it is.
That's our
It's one of the things.
That's our 2019 thing, is
Yeah.
actually making some
We're gonna
goodies.
we have here the Alchemist Handbook, Manual for Practical Laboratory Alchemy by Frater Albertus, and
Oh, I forgot to share these, but that's okay.
by Frater Albertus, and we also have a lengthy video series that is done by one of his students.
So that's our hobby, and then me and her father are going to supposedly make some
Copper
copper amulets,
talismans. Copper talismans.
We're gonna make some copper talismans, so I'm really psyched up, and I'm a little bit afraid of burning myself, but I'm gonna follow instructions.
And then we'll have to make
It will be good for my brain to slow down a little bit. Yeah. Any parting thoughts before we head out into the wild blue yonder?
head out.
Head out?
How long have we been on here?
I don't know.
30 minutes? 40 minutes? No, not even that.
Not even that. Okay, well, what's the next magical topic?
Oy vey.
Oy vey. My favorite magical topic is paradoxes.
paradoxes.
What's your favorite magical paradox?
Mm,
Or
I can't think of any.
you can't think of any?
Oh, I have so many.
There are so many. Why are they all escaping my brain right now? Is that a paradox?
Let's talk about Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. Is he a paradox?
Jesus is totally a paradox, in my opinion.
Okay, explain the paradoxical nature.
Well, I don't know. He might not, but like, I don't know. I don't think there's just so much that's like skipped in the literature.
You mean the Bible?
Yes, the literature.
The literature. The Bible.
To be referred to only as the literature.
So, like, you're referring to, like, the Lost Scrolls
Yeah.
and some of the different things like that.
Yeah. But I feel like, I don't know. Christians are some Christians. Because it's like, if you're following the teachings, it's, I don't know.
Well, you know, being as I was, like, the Sunday school goer as a child, and you were the Unity Church, let's hold hands and sing in a circle.
I never saw a Bible. I was like, there's a Bible?
I'm sure there were some, and I don't know. I mean,
I've never seen the Bible in anything.
Well, but the Unity Church always used the biblical stories and would give you the metaphysical meaning behind them, which I found really good because it was practical Christianity.
I love Unity Church. Our Unity Church.
Yeah, I love all of them, all the ones I've been to. But are you shaking?
My what?
Oh, I'm just looking at the thing because it's behind. Just a second, I thought you were shaking your head at me. I caught you.
Always am behind your back.
Anyway, yeah, but I feel like if people really got the true message of Jesus, then
Well, because I don't know.
a good message.
I feel
a really
like-
great message, actually. But
Yes, I know. It's just the way they portray him. Because I feel like it's so... Like he's like like a goody two shoes.
oh, but he's not really, because he goes.
But he's not.
Yeah, but there's also like several stories in the Bible where he's not as much as in the scrolls, though.
What are you eating?
Miranda's having her walnut snack. I don't know. I ponder that because, like, Jesus has always been an energy, to me, a person that I've always connected with. And, like, even if I don't agree with a lot of things that a lot of churches say, I've always, like, felt very, like, this deep spiritual connection to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I love Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then as I do some of this research, and I'm like, there are interesting things pointing to the fact that he might just be an archetype and not a real person.
Is it really?
Yeah, well...
Oh, I found these books. I have not read them, but I found them and they look very interesting.
Because all these other different cultures have the similar story, and they're born, the person is born of a virgin birth at a different time, and so they're like saying, like, you know, this is just like an archetype and it's not an actual person. But can something be an archetype and an actual human being?
Here's the physical embodiment of the archetype.
Yeah, that probably makes
Makes
more sense. And because, like, I think about that with like, you have these gods and goddesses of different cultures, and some of them are like, you know, they overlap and they're like the same kind of energy, the same kind of archetype, but then they have a different cultural layer on it for each culture, a different name, and there's a different feel and flavor to it. Because, like, saying that Venus and Freya are the same god, I mean, they're both like Friday goddesses and goddesses of love and stuff, and I know there are several other that fit into that category, but I guess there's still a different energy with
definitely.
each name. So I don't know. would you consider that they're different faces of the same archetype? I mean, do you...
Mm-hmm.
See, that's where you get
I
into
would.
these paradoxes too, like we're all one, but we're all separate. And then that happens like with archetypes and gods and goddesses too. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I ponder these things a lot about like, you know, because like working with Venus or working with Freya, and which one would you work with, or you know what I'm saying? If you want to work with a spirit or a god or a goddess or an energy, or like, I don't know.
I'm out of drink. I don't want that sparkling water.
Do you want my tea?
Yeah.
It's cold, but it's still good.
It's still good. Okay.
So what would you say?
About what?
Gods and goddesses and whatnot.
No, I'm bringing it back to Jesus.
Oh, you're bringing it back to Jesus. Okay.
I'm not done with Jesus yet.
Okay. Well, Jesus is technically like, he's kind of like a god because he's the son of God. He's like, who's that one? Like Zeus's son, who's like half god and half human. Hercules. Okay, that was
Jesus is Hercules.
That was probably very wrong.
Yeah, but that wasn't a wait. Whoa, that's really confusing. Because that a virgin birth? Is not a virgin birth?
Hercules?
Yeah.
I don't remember the story of Hercules.
No, because it's supposed to be like Zeus comes down and walks amongst the humans as like a...
Oh, okay.
But
Like,
technically she was impregnated by a god, which is technically the same thing, right?
yeah.
But it's not.
No, it wouldn't be.
It's really
that.
confusing.
That wouldn't be. That's interesting.
Hercules, our Messiah. Praise the Lord. No, I just like, I don't know. I think he was just more real. I don't know.
Jesus?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the story where he like, with the fig tree?
Like the fig tree wouldn't bear fruit, or it wasn't fruiting at that, and so he like just touched it and it basically killed the fig tree.
Yeah. Is that all?
I can. Hey, I may not have many powers, but I can kill any living plant.
I can kill a fig
Not
tree.
on purpose. Not on purpose. Actually, I like to keep plants alive.
On purpose.
No, I don't kill them on purpose.
I know.
That's why I'm really liking the foraging stuff, because
You don't have to keep it alive.
Right.
Guys.
Mother Earth keeps it alive for you. You go out and forage it, because I am bad at keeping things alive in my own house and my own yard.
You just leave out offerings to the land spirits, and you're like, please keep my stuff alive. Please.
Okay.
That's what you do.
And the land spirits say, quit being lazy and water your plants.
Land spirits don't care as long as they're getting theirs. You know? They just want to get theirs. They just want to be acknowledged and fed, like all the spirits.
Okay. That's interesting.
Anyways, new year, things to start doing. Feeding the land spirits.
So if somebody doesn't even know what a land spirit is, what would you recommend?
I would say every place has spirits associated with it, even if it's not necessarily, like, they don't have necessarily names and they're not recorded.
Debbie is on and she is saying she has a black thumb too. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I just turned.
Yeah. Every place has spirits, and if you're living in a place, you're going to be in a place for a long period of time. You may want to appease those spirits, especially because they can tend to be mischievous.
Yeah, I like just doing like the simple thing, which I learned from Carolyn Elliott, which was just doing, like, especially if you don't know and you're like, I just want to like dip my toe into this, is just like leaving out an offering every day of like a clean bowl of water and some incense or some
Incense is good.
and just saying thank you to the land and local land and nature spirits around you, I guess you would do. And just, I found that, like, when I learned that from her, like fairies,
Definitely
fairies
tend to be mischievous.
and like, I mean, I guess they're like almost every, well, not almost, I guess every plant has its own
Spirit
like its own
associated with
spirit,
it, yeah.
and then it has its own overarching, like, right, spirit. And like, because the individual plant has a spirit, and then there is the spirit, like, so if you're dealing with, like, why am I thinking of trees when I'm trying to think of a plant? Give me a plant.
I love when Becky talks about it, where she talks about like the personality of a plant.
Yeah, they do have personalities, but like trees, I guess I connect with more than plants. I'm a tree lover.
She's a tree hugger.
And but like the maple tree, so that particular maple tree will have its own spirit, and then there is like an overarching spirit.
It's like the archetype of a maple.
The archetype of a maple, right? And so you can kind of know. I have a really cool book. I don't know where it is. The one that I bought, The Magic of Trees. I'm gonna have to find it and try to put a link on here for it, but it's really cool because it'll tell you, I don't know if I think it's mostly trees. It tells you like what the magical properties are of each tree, and like kind of like that, their personality and stuff for all. Just that's what the whole book pretty much is just a list of trees, and each tree has a couple pages where they tell you all that cool stuff about them. So that is, it's a fun thing to do. But I think that
trees are super.
Yeah, I think bits of land, well, also land has its own spirit. If you're interested in that too, like on a higher thing, because I think in the West we kind of don't think about it that much. You can always check into what is Peter Jenks. He has done several podcast episodes with Gordon White on Rune Soup, and he's also done several on the Higher Side Chats with Greg Carlwood, and they're really fascinating because in the Thai culture they have kept this like working with the land spirits is really important.
They've kept it up, and
they've kept it a tradition going on and on and on. So like I feel like we lost it due to I want to say capitalism and
the evil of capitalism ruins everything.
The evil British Empire.
Europeans moving to America lost like all their culture.
So like not to appropriate, definitely not to appropriate the Thai culture, but to maybe learn from it and to like help us find our own practices.
I would have to do more research, but I think in the Nordic cultures they're definitely much more aware of like house spirits.
Yeah, I think I would like to do
there
some more research because when I went to Greece, like I think in their church there's a lot more of that. I think they might do some of that house spirit stuff. But if somebody dies along the road, and I don't know if they do this for everybody, they make these little houses alongside the road, and they're like little chapels. They look like little tiny churches, and some of them are actually big enough that you can walk in, but most of them are like tiny, like a birdhouse size. But there are burning candles in it, and the family goes out there and makes sure that the candles are always lit. And they're like, so they have to go out there like every day and keep those or well, I don't know, maybe if it's, but they keep the candles burning. I just so they've got some of that. Of course, that wasn't for the land. That was for the person who died on that patch of land. But it was interesting to me. But yeah, the Greek Orthodox Church, I think, has survived a lot of its, well, like the younger people in Greece don't seem to get into it as much. And like my friend who is Greek but grew up in the United States, so she's told me a little bit about how like her relatives over there, the younger ones, it's more of a social thing, and they go for the high holy days and the feast days, but a lot of the traditions are still available, you know. It hasn't been lost and everything because they've been there doing it for so long. Yeah. Although I do think also in Greece, some of their traditions were lost too when the Greek Orthodoxy took over.
Yeah.
But I think it seems like just going into, we went into a few of the, I don't know if they're called cathedrals or churches or whatnot, but like, it's like there's an air, like an energy there around it, because they have like,
even just like, but the Orthodox churches are very, like, they have rituals and things.
Yeah, just like the Catholic Church, because that was one thing that I learned in Unity. Was the guy that was the first minister, Reverend Dick of the Unity Church, that I got to be really close with when I got into spiritual growth and law of attraction and all this kind of stuff really heavily when I was 22. And he would talk about, and he would explain to us like what the rituals that the Catholic Church did meant. And he would say, just go there and sit and watch. It's beautiful. He said, but most of the people who attend have no idea what any of it means, and they don't actually get that like spiritual food or, you know, they don't get fed from it. They don't get nourished from it like it was meant to be. So, I mean, I guess even the Catholic Church has that aspect to it. I feel like I just...
Well, then, like, I feel like the other Christians are, like... Because, you know, Catholics have the saints.
Yeah.
Which is very much, like...
Well, remember when we were in France, and they were talking about how, like, some of... And even in Italy, some of the Catholic churches were converted from pagan temples. And
well, what they would do is they would just start building churches right on top of...
Yeah, so it's like that energy of the old worship is still there, and the new worship. So like some of those places, like I don't think I've been in any place in the U.S. that compares. Like my favorite is the one in Chartres. Is that the one that has the?
Yeah, it has the labyrinth.
The labyrinth, and the energy in that place
and it
is
has
like
the veil, right? Yeah,
it has the veil that is supposed to be Mary, the mother of Jesus. Her veil, and like the energy in that place is just, I feel like you could just like float around after being in there.
It's really nice.
It's really nice, and it's a Catholic church, so go figure.
And isn't that the one that if you walk across from it, there's an Italian restaurant, and across from the Italian restaurant is an occult bookstore?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it has all this stuff about the labyrinth, and about there's actually like all these
like full of
sacred
tarot cards in English and in French.
But I bought that book there that tells you about the sacred geometry of the church, and how there are things that the church was built on top of the cathedral, and it's really fascinating. And of course they're lighting candles just in there. We lit candles in there, just like, you know, people light candles for magical intentions. They're doing it really the same thing,
essentially.
because they're lighting it and they're asking for their prayer to be answered, or their loved one to be protected. Or is there something with that you do it for loved ones who've passed away too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
like we lit one for Grandma Karen.
Right? Is that supposed to like help if they're in purgatory or something like that? I don't know a lot
I'm not
about.
100% sure, but I
I don't
know
know
it's good.
either. No, it's good. I forget what we were talking about that had us on this path of the Catholic saints.
Keeps spiraling.
We were gonna say something about. Oh, we were saying about like if you wanted to do something in the new year, simple. I like just doing that. Something simple, a simple offering to land and nature spirits.
And in the way of the Catholics, light a candle for your ancestors.
Yeah. And something that I've done before and I'd forgotten about, now somebody was talking about it, because like they're not in a place where they're comfortable having an ancestor altar in their house, or they travel a lot, and so they were saying how you could actually just energetically decide, like, well, Kai Armand, he was talking about eating a meal in front of your ancestor altar with your ancestors, but you can even just eat a meal and dedicate the spiritual energy of the meal to your ancestors. Are you trying to show the puppy? Can you see him? Oh, he ran away. That was Neo. Look at you, beautiful child. And now I can't get the camera straight.
Sorry. No, they're both here.
Yeah, but yeah, that's probably, like, I think instead of people who were wanting to start on that kind of path, it probably would be better to actually just focus on your own ancestors first and your own patch of land, and then the nature that's around you.
Mm-hmm.
What say you?
Yeah, I would start with ancestors, just because they have you in mind, and not really anybody else.
That's true. Yeah, like somebody was saying, like if you work with, was that Kai, or that was the lady we was talking to, and they were saying, if you work with Mother Mary, that's great, but she works with a lot of people. But if you're working with an ancestor, there's probably limited people calling on the ancestor to work with them. And I think ancestors have an invested thing, because I just have always believed that when we heal something, we heal it not just for ourselves, but for our ancestors and for our future generations. Because like trauma is
an illusion. Is hereditary.
Trauma is hereditary. I've talked about that a lot, because like in the relationship alchemy book, and I think I have a class. I know there's something with like in the academy, and I think I did put did I put the link in there? I think I did, to the academy. But I think I have an ancestor alchemy class, but and I know I have meditations to like heal your family tree, and that's in the relationship alchemy book. But like I just feel like that's one of the things that we can focus on that is so super I don't know, it's good for us, it's good for our ancestors, it's good for the people who are coming next, the people, so that we can be a good ancestor to them. Because if you change and shift your vibration, then you're going to shift the vibration in your family going forward.
Yeah.
And so that is one of my main goals for this year, is my main goals is healing some old cycles of, what do you call it? Not like just old family history cycles that tend to repeat themselves, or old, I don't know if you would call them wounds, or Ren says yes, call them wounds.
I say yes.
But I feel like the more I can heal those for myself, the more I heal them for my ancestors, the more I heal them for...
It's too late for me now.
It's not too late. It's not too late.
It's too late for me.
Yeah, well, you can work for your future generations. No. I don't know. So I guess that's our
I think I healed
tips.
a pattern.
You healed a pattern?
I did.
I
have evidence.
What's that? Do you want to share? Or is it a secret?
It's it may be disturbing for some viewers. Trigger warning.
Trigger warning? Okay, what kind of trigger warning?
You know what? It's a secret.
It's a secret. Okay, it's a secret. Well, I will say.
But I totally have healed it. But it was totally not fun to kill it. It was very not fun.
Well,
I
sometimes
would rate it in one of the top 10 not fun things.
Okay, well
ever.
let me ask you. How do you think you healed it? What did you do?
What did I do to heal it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Well, I communed with the ancestor who started the pattern.
Okay.
I did. I did some, some shadow work. And then I was put into a situation. And the way I dealt with that situation, I think healed the pattern. I think the situation was quite unpleasant, but that it was an opportunity to fully heal the pattern because I had indicated an interest to the ancestors that I would not like to heal. Because the ancestor had been healed.
Okay. That's really cool because I find like that happens a lot, whether or not you bring in the ancestors, but I think it's really cool bringing in the ancestors, especially if you know it's a pattern, a family pattern.
Yeah.
But like anytime you make a decision to heal or grow or change things, it's like the universe says, okay, you want to do that?
Yeah.
Here's a practice session for you, and it comes up. And like I've had times when that's happened when I was like, never mind, and then I've had times when I've actually followed through and did what I needed to do to heal it.
Yeah. And I think that the healing was very was mental, but it was also physical. Yeah. I had to purge physically.
You got sick?
Yeah. A lot. Vomited.
That can happen.
Happens sometimes.
Sometimes when you're letting go of stuff, it comes out the body.
It comes out
unpleasant ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, yeah, Debbie said, cool. I thought we did an ancestor class. There's so much stuff on there now that I lose track. But
I now believe, because of certain things expressed to me by other people who would also have been affected by said pattern, that it has now been healed.
like going through the family line.
Yes.
So, can I be as nosy to ask who those said people are? Siblings?
Father has expressed some. I felt the timing was very strange, but then I realized that the reason that he would be expressing said thing, because to me that would mean that the pattern was healed.
Very cool. So you think if somebody has something that they know that is a destructive pattern in their lives that they want to heal, that you would tell them to go to an ancestor?
If the destructive pattern is
only if it's ancestral and you kind of know
not necessarily, because as long as you're going to your ancestors and you specify that they're ancestors that have already resolved their own issues and are now ready to help you resolve your issues, then you can work with an ancestor. But ancestors that don't have any issues of their own, because if they have their own stuff to work through, then.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Or you can just, well, you can't just, but another thing that you can do is like do the visualization that I have in the, with the family tree, and you like just envision your family tree, and you notice like where it looks like the tree might be sick or wounded or like have spots that are like, you know, mushy or whatnot, and then you heal it. Yeah.
Mushy?
And you heal it.
Oh,
You send it healing energy. What?
it's a good idea.
What?
No, I just.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a kind of a like, it's not real long. Like, I don't know, 5 to 7 minute visualization that goes into more depth than that. But all right.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're done?
Yeah.
It's time to say goodbye. All right. So
my ADHD is flaring.
just remember,
I can only sit still for so long.
I have like 4 copies left in the original order, and so those copies, if you're interested in one, they will be free shipping. And if I can't guarantee free shipping past that. It just depends on how many more I order, or if they're all done print on demand. So we shall see. But if you want one, go to the link in the comments. If you want to learn more about the Sigil Alchemy class or the Ancestor Alchemy class or any of the cool stuff that is in the Academy, there's a link in there too, and it's on sale right now until January the 5th when the new moon comes in. So it's at its lowest price to get all kinds of, like, I don't know how many classes and get your Reiki attunements and all that stuff. All right. Tell everybody. Tell everybody what? Tell them goodbye. And anything else you choose to say before we log off? I choose to say something profound.
Something profound.
Let the goddess speak. The goddess that is you.
Not in my God space right now. Oh.
You're not in that space. Let the healed ancestors speak.
The healed ancestor does not speak.
It does not speak.
It growls. It makes noises.
Very well. All right, guys. Hope you guys are all having a magical new year, and I will see you in another live stream, and maybe even I can get Ren to do some more magical convos with me and possibly some other classes too. All right, talk to you soon. Be magic.